Bună seara tuturor și bine ați venit la un nou podcast marca Strategic. Avem alături de noi trei invitați speciali. Bună Anastasia, bună Vlad, bună Linda. Astăzi vorbim în cadrul podcastului Strategic, care a ajuns deja la cel de-al 6-lea episod, despre viață de voluntar. În primul rând, înainte de a începe, vă readuc aminte, Strategic este unul dintre podcasturile realizate în cadrul comunității Strategic, comunitatea dedicată organizațiilor care muntă munții din loc și fac lucruri minunate pentru voluntariat prin intermediul programului Corpul European de Solidaritate. Anul acesta este și un an special pentru că se împlinesc 30 de ani din momentul în care au fost lansate programele de voluntariat la nivel european. Totodată mâine începe și Săptămâna Europeană a Tineretului. Ei, abia așteptăm. Da, uite, Anastasia se bucură foarte, foarte tare. Deci un moment excelent să punem voluntariatii și tinerii în lumina reflectoarelor și, bineînțeles, să nu uităm că, așa cum am discutat data trecută, este și Anul Internațional al Voluntariatului pentru Dezvoltare Durabilă, ca să le avem pe toate la pachet. Astăzi vorbim despre viață de voluntar. Ce înseamnă să fii un voluntar în cadrul Corpului European de Solidaritate în România? Pentru asta avem trei invitați speciali. O să fie un podcast un pic mai special pentru că o să vorbim în două limbi. Am început în română, dar o să vorbim destul de mult în limba engleză, pentru că, așa cum o să vedeți, o să rog și invitații să se prezinte într-o clipă. Deși locuiesc în România de ceva vreme și prind și vorbesc chiar surprinzător de bine limba română, preferă, bineînțeles, pentru exprimare, deși înțeleg să ne exprimăm în engleză, pentru a transmite mesajul așa cum trebuie. Și cu ocazia asta, de ce nu? Că până la urmă simulăm și modul în care se întâmplă lucrurile într-un proiect de voluntariat, nu? Pentru că cei care au fost acolo probabil că ați văzut foarte multe limbi vorbite în același timp, și română, și engleză, și orice alte limbi atunci când sunt mai mulți oameni care vorbesc aceeași limbă. Deci iată că o să simulăm și treaba asta. Dar să începem cu începutul. Haideți să cunoaștem un pic oamenii pe care avem aici de față. Dacă putem să facem așa o scurtă trecere în revistă și să ne spuneți foarte pe scurt cine sunteți voi, de unde veniți și cum a început povestea voastră cu voluntariatul și ce v-a făcut să faceți acest pas. Începem cu Anastasia?
Da. Sigur. Bună ziua.
And we can switch to English if you want. Okay. So yes.
That was my Romanian greeting for everyone. Hello. And yes, my name is Anastasia. For the more than 2 years now. I've been living in Romania, firstly as volunteer. Now I'm coordinating the project in the organization Asociația Explorator in Craiova, Romania. And the project that I'm coordinating is called Inclusivity Unlocked. And in the first edition of this project, I've also been a volunteer. So this is about me, and I will be ready to pass to my colleagues.
Okay, who would like to take over? Okay, Linda, I see that you have already your mic on, so I think it's you.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Linda. I am from Latvia and here in Romania for a little bit more than 3 months. I've been volunteering in Project Inclusivity Unlocked too.
Okay, și Vlad.
Bună ziua, numele meu este Vlad Buldur, sunt din Craiova, România. Sunt voluntar, am fost voluntar, în proiectul acesta ESI între iulie 2024 și iunie 2025, sfârșitul iunie 2025, ca să fiu mai specific. Și a fost o experiență foarte ok pentru mine și dacă aș putea da timpul înapoi, aș repeta-o cu siguranță.
Ok. Mulțumesc mult. Așa cum vedeți, avem 3 invitați, toți 3 de la Asociația Explorator din Craiova. Dar fiecare cu un rol foarte interesant. Avem pe Anastasie, care este fost voluntar și acum a decis să rămână acolo și să desfășoare activități în continuare și putem spune că acum a ajuns care e rolul tău în acest moment? What is your role right now?
I'm coordinating the project and the volunteers that are currently volunteering and doing their stage.
Ok, așadar coordonator. Deci cine dorește să continue activitatea de voluntariat și să rămână în organizația gazdă, iată că se poate. Totodată o avem pe Linda, care este voluntar în acest moment în cadrul proiectului, și pe Vlad, care este fost voluntar. Deci perspective diferite, astfel încât să vedem cum arată viața de voluntar din unghiuri diferite. Bun. Dar mai departe, ce aș vrea să vă întreb este, la fel pe fiecare în parte, un pic ca să ne facem așa un pic de idee despre ce s-a întâmplat la voi în organizație și în cadrul proiectului, un pic despre cum s-a desfășurat stagiul vostru și nu știu, cum a fost la început, cum a evoluat, în ce activități ați fost implicat, ca să avem un pic așa de flavor apropo de ce faceți voi acolo. Și de data asta și începe un pic invers, ca să putem. Încep cu Vlad. We'll start with Vlad and then we go with Linda and Anastasia. Yes, it's about your activities and what happened and how it started and how it evolved. Vlad?
Povestea vieții mele de voluntar începe în momentul în care am mers la un centru pentru oameni cu tulburare de spectru autist și am făcut niște activități împreună cu aceștia și după aceea am avut un proiect în care ar fi trebuit să plecăm în Grecia, unde am organizat unde au fost organizate multe activități pentru noi. Eu de asemenea am avut acolo să traduc din engleză în română și din română în engleză niște conversații între ONG-urile din România și respectiv din Grecia. După aceea am fost invitat în proiect pentru un an, în acest proiect. Și pentru mine, cum am mai spus și înainte, a fost o experiență grozavă.
Ok. Și ce a făcut dacă tot te-am prins și ești acolo la microfon? Ce a făcut experiența asta să devină atât de grozavă?
Păi faptul că am avut podcasturi exact despre un subiect care mă interesa foarte mult, incluziunea socială a oamenilor cu dizabilități.
Ok, bun. Și o să vorbim imediat și despre podcastul Inclusion Unlocked, da? Pentru că este parte importantă din toată treaba asta. Dar până atunci să mergem puțin mai departe. Linda, I think now it's your turn. What happened? How did you end up here as a volunteer? And how was your activity so far?
Okay, so it will be a little bit of a story time how I got involved. I used to work in the Student Union of Latvia as a PR for them. And one day, one of my colleagues mentioned we were all students, and she was studying. I think intercultural relations between Latvia and Spain, and she was saying like, oh, there is this volunteering program where I could go to Spain and practice language after I finished this work or after I finished my university. And I was like, send me the link. What are you talking about? Like traveling and volunteering and being abroad? Send me. So I saved it for past 2-3 years. 2-3 years it was in my bookmarks. And last year I decided this is the time where I want to travel. I want to meet new people and see cultures beside Latvian one. So I opened European Youth Portal. That was the website, and started looking for projects that include social media, like PR, bringing more visibility to certain things. And that's how I applied to Inclusivity Unlocked too. And I'm so blessed to be accepted here.
And what kind of activities? What are you doing right now there?
Right now, we have weekly activities with participants with autism spectrum disorder. We have activities with participants with Down syndrome. Then weekly, we also have game event where we ask local and international people come together, practice speaking English, but also exchanging ideas and becoming friends. And then besides this, we have podcast creation where we can have variety of different types of guests, or also we can do some more educational content, as I do. Like last week, I finally published my first podcast about chosen family, where I explained the definition of family and how it applies to chosen family. And now I'm working on to like next podcast. And besides this, we also have different types of events which we organize and participate and assist.
Okay, thank you very much for giving some insight in your activities. Now let's move on to Anastasia. How was your story?
Yeah, my story, we've also been discussing with Linda and other volunteers, just their parts of stories, how they got into the projects. Mine was actually research on the internet, because while doing the 4th year of my bachelor degree, I was searching for opportunities to go for international projects that I've been all the time curious to have this intercultural experience. And I've been looking at Erasmus Plus programs, and then I found out about the European Solidarity Corps. And I just started to look at the programs that would suit the ideas that interest me in life in general, and inclusivity was one of them. However, firstly, I did short-term, not the long-term project, and I did it in Turkey, in the small community Nide, in the middle of Anatolia, so it was an experience for sure, being in the smaller community after the big megapolis where I lived. Yeah, but this gave me a benefit for my CV, and I think it helped me this short term to get into this long-term projects in Romania. I got the interview with the colleagues of mine nowadays, and that was the match. And I came, but when I came to the project, I was actually the first volunteer of Inclusivity Unlocked. It was in February 2024. And everyone was very excited, I think, about me coming and me joining, because the podcast studio was still in development, and everyone were looking for those fresh ideas, and everyone been very excited. And we finished working on the podcast room, I think, closer to March 2024, with the help also of other volunteers inside of our hub, our youth hub. And we started releasing the episodes and trying to make people aware in Craiova that we are having this initiative, of course, with the help of our local partner, Casa Studenților in Craiova. And yeah, we started recording, but of course, all the time, besides the podcasting part, we have those community events. Working in the time when I was volunteer, we also worked with participants with Down syndrome for some occasions. Now I believe it's more regularly, since we meet every week, and I also see it's as a strengthening of our partnership, and I see it as that the parents of the participants, they see us as people they can trust, and this is very valuable for me personally. Yeah, that's probably my story. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. I'm just curious, how many volunteers from how many countries are there? Because you are now managing them, yes?
Yes. So it's 7 at the moment. We have volunteer from Latvia, which is Linda. Also volunteer from Italy, Azerbaijan, Jordan. Also we have the local volunteer from Romania that is very helping us with the translations at the moment. Yes, but it just some participants, it's 2 from Jordan, so a bit repeating, yeah.
Quite a geographic distribution and cultural distribution as well.
For sure. And
the language distribution at the same time, yes.
It brings interest to makes the podcast more diverse from the opinions that the volunteers share, and we also do our workshops just for our education, let's say. And for sure, even for me, it's very valuable to hear those different opinions. to see how the world is different, even if we speak about the same topic.
Okay, we're going to come back about this podcast in a bit because I think it's very interesting to have, because it seemed like to be one of your core activities there. But now, because we had a general question, I think I would have some personal curiosity, and I would have some personalized question for each of you. And first, I would like to ask you, Linda, how do you feel this experience right now, being inside? You know, how does it feel to be a volunteer, and what's happening right now? What's going on in your heart? And do you miss your country? Do you miss your friends? How do you find fun in what you're doing here? I mean, how is your life?
How's my life? My
Yes.
life is, as you heard before, I have a list with activities to do, so we are pretty busy, but in a good sense. So we're never bored. When we always have something going on. You always have some kind of either task with local community or personal tasks. So you can always pick we are practicing time management for sure, and priorities, and how to save ourselves from burnout. So that's what is going on. But my life is fun. I also have to admit that I've made friends in these 3 months, local friends that I can like text and send jokes, and I'm really thankful for that, because that is one of the fears when you come as a person to another culture. You don't know anyone. You don't even know the basic etiquette sometimes, like how to even say hello, how to behave. And I think I'm learning really fast the Romanian way of living, and I'm also thankful that I've already have gained some friendships along the way. So in my free time, the volunteering experience is including living together with different people from different countries. So there's another layer of managing new experiences. So that is also never boring, by the way, living together.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it is fun. Of course, there are some challenges, but most of the time it's really pleasant, and I'm really happy to be here.
Man, and that's also part of the learning process and the fun process, right? If it's not challenging, it can be nice, but on long run, it can be boring. I mean, this is what brings the salt and pepper in our lives. Okay, now I'm going to switch to Romanian. Vlad, aș vrea pe tine să te întreb, pentru că tu ai spus cum ai ajuns aici și ai avut și un parcurs foarte interesant. Dar aș vrea să te întreb treaba asta. Care este pentru tine momentul care ar defini cel mai bine experiența ta de voluntar? Și te-aș ruga, că am văzut că ai mai multă experiență, dar în special voluntar în contextul activității din Inclusivity Unlocked și din cadrul Asociației Explorator.
Păi, momentul definitoriu pentru mine în cadrul Asociației Explorator și în cadrul voluntariatului, în general, momentul definitoriu este acela în care am reușit să-mi depășesc fricile, cât de cât frica de a vorbi în public, pentru că pentru mine a fost destul de greu la început.
Și felicitări, apropo, că ți-ai exprimat această temere și înainte de a intra în podcast. Și good job, așa.
Mulțumesc.
Ok, scuze, te-am întrerupt, iertare.
Da, și pentru mine un alt moment care a fost la fel de important a fost cel în care am participat la o activitate de Crăciun cu copiii cu sindromul Down. Acolo am învățat să fiu mai empatic cu oamenii cu aceste tipuri de dizabilități, de nevoi speciale.
Ok. Mulțumim mult. Mulțumim mult! Acum o să ne întoarcem la Anastasia și pe tine, ok, switching in English, sorry. Pentru tine aș vrea, sorry. For
It's
you,
okay.
I would like, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that happens as well when you have to switch a lot of languages. Because you were here as a volunteer, now you are here as a manager, and I was wondering what made the difference and what made you decide to actually take this challenge and staying here in this field of volunteering after the activities stopped. I mean, not stopped, finished.
Probably I never dreamed to become a youth worker when I was a kid, because I didn't know that this job existed, to be honest. Probably I was going with something simpler back in time. However, the moment of inclusion, I was very curious when I was studying in university, also going to museums and discussing with people how to make the spaces accessible, because I was studying as an art historian, actually. So for me, it started from the museum spaces, how we can make them accessible. And here in Romania, I found the space to get the knowledge on inclusion, like really spend the time on research. Because the process of podcasting itself is not just you come, you have the mic and you do the recording. Yeah, you need a lot of hours of preparation to make the script happen. So I was very glad to spend this time on the research and to dive into the topic of inclusion. And then that's what I would like to still do in my life. But nowadays, in a bit different role. Now I also need to manage my colleagues, the team of the volunteers, which is a personal challenge, I'll be honest, because I've never been in this position. However, I find it very interesting to work in this intercultural environment, to learn from people, and also to develop myself through the volunteers that come to the project. Because if not through those discussions, where else can I know what is the actual situation, even in the world? And of course, I think I just felt like I found a place to be, and working each time I'm finishing the workshops with the participants with Down syndrome, or with participants with autism spectrum disorder that we work with, I actually feel happy and I feel fulfilled, and probably that comes from this feeling why I want to keep going, even though sometimes it is not what we expect it to be, and new situations, new challenges come along, and you need to come with new solutions, because also the groups of the volunteers, they're different, and the needs of people are different in those groups. So I'm not sure how I actually answered your question, but for me, it was more of this meta level decision of what I would like to do with my life. And of course, this position, the volunteering, I think it's also gives an opportunity to many young people who are now in the labor market after finishing graduating university, trying to understand what to do actually with this degree, with this knowledge that they received. And I was also thinking of myself, like of continuing studies in university, being a university person. But actually being in the field and working with beneficiaries seems more satisfying than I thought it would be. So I believe that volunteering also can give this boost of energy and boost of opportunities to young people. And this is an interesting job to do, so yeah.
Well, I mean, and if we are to be fair, there are studies saying that whoever is doing volunteering is happier, and it's a real thing. And it seems that there is also a neuroscience behind that, because it seems that volunteers have the chance to boost their serotonin levels, which is one of the happiness hormones. And So yeah, do volunteering in order to be happier. So it seems like Anastasia is a living example, and Linda and Vlad as well. And I'm pretty sure that all the 7 volunteers that are still there and are not only in projects but all over Romania and all over Europe. And I have to have a bit of a disclosure before going to the next question, because now I'd like to start discussing a little bit about your podcast and what has been happening there. But before that, I must say that now when you're speaking, I realized that because we had a chance to meet in some of the online on the monthly meetings for the strategic, for the volunteering organization that are happening in the strategic community. And Anastasia was there several times. And I mean, actually now I realize that because she was mentioning about the podcast, which seemed quite interesting. And I really relate what you were saying about preparing the podcast and all the tribulations that you have to go through with the script and questions and so on and so forth. So I felt it was okay. That's interesting. Then your subject was very interesting, but also it was somehow all the things that you're mentioning there, somehow they were felt also in the discussion. I was okay. I was thinking that could be a good place to have you and your volunteers in the podcast to talk about that, and not only about the volunteering. So thank you very much for this. It was a hunch there, but now it has become an informed hunch, so to say. Okay, now coming back to the Inclusivity Unlocked. It's a project, but it's also a podcast. Yeah. So I would like to ask you how all three of you, how the idea of Inclusivity Unlocked podcast came up.
Maybe I can take the stage here a bit, since I was the number one in the project.
Go ahead.
Coming first, not of the quality of the content. The concept, I think, in general came about as a partnership, because there was an idea of the colleagues of mine to have the podcast, to give the stage to young people to actually express how they feel about the world, what are the issues that they're facing on a daily basis. And also to give good examples, because there are many young people in Craiova who can be those examples for other young people. And that was the concept behind. And then together with the partners as Casa Studenților, who had the equipment to help, because of course podcast is not, thankfully we have the podcast studio. Yes, podcast can be online, and this is a great example what we are doing now. But it can also become a physical place where people come together to have face-to-face discussions. And I think, especially after the pandemic, and still the podcast studio was built just near the end of the pandemic, it was an important point to have the physical place where we can bring the people together. And here I would refer you to the first episode that we released, where my colleague Madalina Stafe is talking a lot about this. So please check out our YouTube channel to see the podcast there. Yes, and this is how the podcast appeared, the concept of it, and started to be released. But also I think Linda and Vlad can share their parts, because yes, the podcast, as you might see on our channel, there can be some chapters, or Inclusivity Unlocked 1, Inclusivity Unlocked 2, also some personalized podcasts like Ask Around, that one specific volunteer decided to develop as a series of episodes. So each volunteer has the path, the choice, their learning plan of what they want to achieve. So yeah, you can see many, Inclusivity Unlocked 2, different topics. Yeah, we are not sticking to just, one direction. We have variety of episodes that can fit and that can be interesting for different audiences. Yes.
Okay.
That's
so. I mean, for those who are interested, also it's rolling. Also the YouTube where you place where you can find all of this. And thank you very much for sharing it, Anastasia. So yes, everything is here. One well, not quite click away, but one type away, because you have to type that youtube.com/voluntariat pentru comunitate, and there you go, and then you can discover all these things. Yes, and there is more actually coming in. So a lot of stuff happening here. How long did it take? How many episodes do you have so far? Do you know? Because I can see there is a lot.
Yeah, I cannot give you the direct number, but I'm sure it's quite more than 100 overall, like with like also short videos, and yeah. But also, as you can see, that's Voluntariat pentru Comunitate. Yeah, so it's a hub. So there we also post sometimes not only the podcast of Association Explorator, but also of Decide organization and Anter, that are the part of the hub. That we're working just on different goals. Yeah, Explorator is for sure a lot about inclusion, and Decide a bit more about non-formal education, and Anter about ecology. But together they come to serve the community and make the community better.
Okay, and these are the three organizations that are actually working in the Youth Hub in Craiova. Yeah. And that's a very good example on how a community is working out. So thank you very much for that as well. Okay, so whoever would like to see more, just remember YouTube /voluntariat pentru comunitate, and there you have there you have a lot of them, including Inclusivity Unlocked 1 and 2, and yeah, is there going to be a number 3?
Yes, there for sure will be a number 3, but the volunteers from Inclusivity Unlocked 3, they're new ones, they recently arrived, so for now they're still working on their podcasts, but for sure that's something that would be released very soon.
Good. Okay, now moving on to the next, because we've seen, and thank you very much for the story, because Inclusivity Unlocked, and we've seen also in your presentations and your personal presentation that inclusion is quite a big thing. Yeah. And another reason for which I have to say that when we were talking, it was like a blink, 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 Inclusivity Unlocked, is because there is this also ID Hub community, which is about inclusion and diversity. And I think it's a very good example on the things that could be happening. But I was wondering, I mean, for the beginning, what does inclusion mean for you, practically speaking? I'm just wondering if you can share with us your perspective. Of course, it can have different. Who would like to start? Shall we go with Linda now, for example? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can also share my thoughts, because I've been thinking about it for a very long time in my life, and probably it's also changing from time to time. The approach that we are also trying to have through our activities is working together. Yeah, that no matter what your background is, no matter which your opportunity coming as a volunteer you have, you can be a part of this project, yeah, or our smaller community of the volunteers. And I think it applies to world in general. I think sometimes we see inclusion as creating separate space for people while we're having a bigger group. However, that seems more as a segregation, actually. So inclusion for me is just giving away the borders and accepting people on who they are, making this space open to whoever wants to join. So this is just on as a concept, yeah, but on a practice during our activities, when we're working with participants with disabilities, it's a simple action of doing together. Yeah, if we're dancing together. If we're coloring and this is our work for this hour, we're doing this together. Because there is nothing like I'm better than you and this is your task and this is not my task, in sense when we are preparing the workshops. Yeah. So this is, I think, the concept behind, and also behind the podcast itself. Yeah, whatever young person from Craiova or not Craiova, from Romania, international wants to join, that's your space to express. Yeah, and we would be glad to have participants coming to us and sharing their opinions. Yes,
Okay.
That's my perception.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Linda, would you like to go next? What is inclusion
Yes.
for you?
In practice, I can answer as a volunteer. It comes in three levels.
Mhm.
First level is other volunteers. It means you make friends. You have to include each other. As I mentioned before, we live together, so there's inclusion process right there. We have to accept each other and support each other. Then next level is when we go to volunteering, the activities, when we work with specific groups of people. We have to make them comfortable, include them, create a safe space for them to feel that they are valid. It's okay to exist with us together. I know we are strangers, we are from different countries, the volunteers, but it's okay. It's fine to be here. And then the third level is being included in Romania. Because as volunteers, you can also create this bubble where you only have your international volunteers and activities, and you could never go out inside of the country. But so there's this other level that you want to be included in the everyday life, going to doctor, going shopping, going to cinema, and feel accepted and valid there too. So there's 3 layers that inclusion comes within in the practice for international volunteers.
Cool, nice. I mean, I really like the fact that you are balancing each other, because Anastasia was having more like a philosophical and practical way and organizational way, and you have a more like a personal volunteering approach. I'm curious, Vlad, perspectiva ta care este?
Păi, pentru mine, în primul rând, țin să precizez că incluziunea are un sens foarte special. În opinia mea, cel mai bun mod în care cineva poate să arate că este inclusiv este prin a fi tolerant cu ceilalți, prin a include persoanele în diverse activități pe care le fac acolo la voluntariat. Și toate acestea trebuie să se întâmple tratând oamenii egal, din punctul meu de vedere, necontând din ce mediu provin, care sunt condițiile lor, fie psihologice, fie neuronale, și care este rasa lor și așa mai departe.
Aici, dacă îmi dai voie, aș pune o întrebare. Este vorba de egal sau echitabil? Știi că tot apare discuția asta că egal înseamnă că la fel e toată lumea, pe când echitabil înseamnă că, nu știu, cineva care are niște nevoi, apropo de ce spuneai tu, de nevoi neuronale, să-l abordezi mai mult plecând de la nevoile acestea, cineva care are nevoi sociale, ajutându-l din punctul ăsta de vedere. Scuze, e o chestie mai degrabă tot așa, mai degrabă de filozofia includerii. Deci, din punct de vedere, egalitate sau echitate? Ca să...
Mai degrabă în sensul echitabil decât...
Ok. Bun. Mulțumesc mult de tot. Și acum aș continua tot cu tine, Vlad, dacă îmi dai voie. Să ne întoarcem puțin că aș fi curios apropo de procesul ăsta, că este un proces în care clar ați avut invitați și ați lucrat cu ei, ați vorbit cu ei, dar ați și învățat foarte mult. Și sunt tare curios dacă ați putea să ne spuneți un pic, aici aș vrea în special cu Vlad și cu Linda, ce ați învățat voi în acest proiect și în acest și când ați avut când ați fost implicați în podcast? Care au fost cele mai importante lecții pentru voi învățate?
În primul rând că nu trebuie să mă tem în momentul în care vorbesc în public.
Da.
Adică trebuie să fiu mai degajat, mai relaxat și când am ceva de transmis, astfel încât mesajul să fie mai, cum să spun, să ajungă mai ușor la urechile celorlalți. Și ce am mai învățat a fost să fiu inclusiv, să fiu tolerant cu ceilalți oameni mai mult. Cum am spus atunci când am participat în acele activități cu acei copii cu sindrom Down. Și de asemenea, ce m-au mai învățat pe mine podcasturile, a fost că a fost foarte multe informații despre aceste tipuri de dizabilități și despre cum ar putea să fie incluși anumiți oameni. De asemenea, am observat că sunt țări, cum ar fi Statele Unite ale Americii, în care s-au făcut revoluții cu privire în care oamenii au ieșit în stradă cu privire la acest aspect. Deci e super ce am aflat și ce m-a învățat și skill-urile mele de editare s-au îmbunătățit. Și skill-urile mele de editare a videoclipurilor și modul în care mă exprim în limba engleză, modul în care mă exprim în momentul în care trebuie să transmit o informație, chiar și pe un subiect mai sensibil publicului, atâta vreme cât subiectul este important, chiar dacă este sensibil, totuși, în opinia mea, trebuie adresate anumite lucruri.
Ok, fair enough. Mulțumim, mi-a plăcut foarte mult abordarea asta, că a fost cumva pe apropo de ce am învățat eu și de abilități, atitudini, dar și partea de conținut, adică toate elementele. Now we're going to switch back to English, and I'm going to kindly ask Linda if she can share also with us what did you learn out of this full process in Inclusivity Unlocked, hosting the podcast, working on it. What are your main learning lessons out of it?
So far, well, let's remember, I've just 3 months jumped into this, but there are some lessons. First one,
I can imagine, yes.
First one is don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay to fail. I've recorded like I think 2-hour episode that we had to throw out. I had like beautiful makeup, I had script and everything, but it was useless material. And that is also a learning experience. You try, and when you try, you learn. And if it succeeds, if it's good material, amazing, let's use it. But it's okay also to fail. And don't be so hard on yourself. That is one of the main lessons so far I've learned for the podcasting itself, and also patience. Like, your time will come. Also, it goes hand in hand with being hard on yourself. Patience. Don't rush. Don't burn out. It's slower. It's okay to do.
Did you have difficult guests? Did you have difficult guests with whom, I mean, I don't know, people who, like me, are speaking a lot and you have to calm them down because yeah.
For me personally, no. The thing is, I like interviewing. I like to know what other people think. That's how I learn about the world and see and gain like more view on how other people experience their life and move around the world. I just find enjoyment. Of course, it's not easy to adapt to each guest, but it comes with practice. I still have many months left to practice this skill. So
okay, thank you. Now, Anastasia, I would like to ask you a bit of a different question. I mean, of course, if you want to go in the learning part, that's also more than welcome. But I would be curious. what kind of reactions you had? Because I mean, you are the person who was there from the very beginning, and you had the chance to see different seasons, like Inclusivity Unlocked 1, 2, and also now you have this role as managing the process. So I'm really curious what kind of reactions you had from the young people that this podcast are addressing. And I'm guessing because you mentioned Craiova, but I guess it's for all the young people, yes?
Yeah, for sure. Firstly, I would also relate to what Linda says. And I think also one of the purposes of this project and this podcast is to try and fail. And also, of course, I wish for us from the beginning to do an amazing content. However, you need to train, you need to try things. And I think that's a great ability also of the young generation now to try things. And for me, European Solidarity Corps serves this in a way to try things and think who you can become. Coming back to your question about the reactions of young people, I believe that we're still getting exposed out there for the young people, and also we talk to young people in schools, and we're inviting people to subscribe. Whenever we do community events, we are sharing with people that, look, we're doing these episodes. Maybe do you want to also to come and share your story? However, I believe there are some certain, usually people are super excited about the concept of the podcast, about the idea of recording and sharing. However, not so many people are actually ready sometimes, but it's also okay because it's everyone's choice. As you see, we're speaking in English, so our podcast is also in English. And for many young people, that becomes a fear that they would not be able to fully express themselves, and I think for some volunteers as well. However, if we're working, I believe, in the same direction, that can positively change, and more people would be ready to share what they want to share. And of course, with also the help of the in-country volunteers who can be the mediators in this discussion. And we had the event. There have been a number of public events this spring, including the Marti Shore Fest, where Linda also interviewed people. We also had it in Casa Studenților, and we prepared many crafts, but at the same time, we've been trying to record the episode. It will be out very soon, but it required a lot of editing from the volunteer who've been working on it, because it's also bilingual. It's both in English and Romanian, because we've been trying to serve both people who are for whom it's easier to speak in Romanian, and our international volunteers who can express themselves in English. So sometimes these situations happen. Usually people are super excited, as I told, about the whole concept, but there are some barriers we also face, and we'll learn how to overcome them with time. And of course, we would be glad to do for more young people to find out about our podcast and about this opportunity. Yeah.
Cool. In the meanwhile, because my apologies, I forgot to mention that for those who are watching us, you can interact with our guests. I mean, those that are recurrent viewers already know that you can use the comments on the Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. Yes, exactly. And you can put in comments questions or comments like this. Thank you, Islam Tahiri 8796, who seems to be satisfied by what we're doing right now, right here. Good to hear that. In the same way, you can also make comments or ask questions. And for example, you can share about your experience of volunteering if you want, and we are going to put it here just like you have seen. Okay. Now the next question, because we discussed about your experience in the Inclusivity Unlocked podcast. Now I'd like to come back a little bit with your life as volunteer, and I would like to ask you, and and again, I would like to start with Linda and Vlad now. What was your biggest challenge as a volunteer? And if you how did you manage to pass on to to face it, or not necessarily to face it, but to actually overcome it? Who would like to go first, Linda or Vlad? Linda, okay.
Poate eu.
Okay, Vlad, sorry. Go ahead. Da, Vlad.
Mulțumesc. Deci, cea mai mare provocare pentru mine, ca și voluntar, a fost frica faptului că episoadele mele n-ar putea să fie luate în serios sau că oamenii ar putea să facă mișto de mine pe YouTube. Pentru că am o frică de vorbit în public, cum am mai spus, și pentru că am crezut că felul în care îmi voi exprima mesajul pe care l-am de transmis nu este cel în care se așteptau ceilalți să mă exprim, poate, sau să fie. Și m-am gândit la un moment dat că poate ar trebui să renunț, dar câtă vreme am tot încercat să fac episoade, am reușit să trec peste această frică oarecum și lucrurile au mers din ce în ce mai bine.
Ok, mulțumim. Asta mi se pare foarte interesant, mai ales în podcast, pentru că totuși te expui, da? Te vede oricine și apropo de treaba asta cu dacă face mișto de mine. Ok, într-adevăr, e o temă și mă bucur foarte tare că totuși există oameni care își înfruntă aceste teme. Mulțumesc mult, Vlad. Now let's go on to Linda. Again, the same question. What is your biggest challenge as volunteer and how did you overcome it?
Okay, so my biggest
so far, because you might still have time to have even higher challenges than that, of course.
Yes, let's not manifest that. But for me, and I would like to assume that every single volunteer also experience this, is when you come to the project and expectations doesn't meet the reality. And even though you have description of the project, interviews, information pack, either it's a presentation or website, there is still room for romanticization of the whole project. You imagine this beautiful experience, and when you come to the country, to your city, to your place, to your organization, you realize, it's not what I expected. And it was for me too. It was not so dramatic, but it was there. I was thinking why am I here? Was this really what I signed up for? And how I fixed it was to have a conversation with coordinator, to have more context about how things are going. Why are they working like that? It's also a cultural difference, and also my ability to be flexible. I need to adapt. I have to adapt, and I need to grow as a person. So through this conversation and also through self-reflection, I grew. And also I want to mention that volunteering is not a vacation. And it's also not a job, and it's not a punishment. It's a beautiful experience where you can give
punishment. That's interesting.
It's not a punishment. Some volunteers, I imagine it could be so bad that they find themselves in a new country. They have to do things that they did not expected to do, and it feels like a prison. No, it's not. It's just your lack of ability to change your mindset, because volunteering is a beautiful process, and it's not easy, and it's also not hard. It's somewhere in between. It can be also both things, but you need to find your inner peace and flexibility to adapt to reality and find the joy within the unknown processes that are upcoming.
And to be frank, it's something that you have to try to see if it fits for yourself, because maybe for some people it fits, maybe for some other it doesn't, and that's fine. And talking about that, if I may have an extra question for you, and then I'm going to move to Anastasia. What keeps you motivated in the difficult periods? Because I think it's pretty much related to what you were saying a bit earlier.
it is. And this, when I'm thinking about this question, it is really like personal, because we're talking about difficult times, and we each volunteer have different things that they struggle with.
Of course.
And for me, it was realization that if I would not be in this project, I would live more mundane, boring, stagnant life. This opportunity brings challenge, brings growth, brings learning by experience. I am not sitting in front of a screen and watching something or reading a book. I'm in life experiencing things and learning as I go. And if I would not be here, I would probably lead a less joyful life.
Okay. Anastasia, the same question for you. What keeps you motivated in difficult periods?
Yeah, I actually want also to relate to many things that Linda said, both about the challenges and the motivation point as well. Because yes, of course, volunteers, group dynamics is all the time very different, yeah? Because yes, it's an individual journey for each volunteer, but at the same time, there are many volunteers at the same time and they enjoy. So for me, it seems like an alive organism that is all the time changing the mood, or the atmosphere is also can be one day in one way, another day in another day. And that's great from the point that we are humans, we're here, we're doing our best. But it is probably also the part of the challenge here. But what keeps motivated is to continue this observing, and I will be again too philosophical maybe, but just to keep in mind that that's not the end of the world for none of us actually. And I will continue going with my projects, because all the time we have many things on the list. And if one thing is not motivating you today, there will be another thing you will come to. If today I don't want to do this reel, I have an event in the city that I'm actually motivated to put my effort to do, because still the big concept is there all the time in my mind, and that's what I'm trying also maybe to share with the volunteers, that it's not that much of you in the center of the system. The center here is the community and your will to continue do something positive. So I don't know, this concept helps me to come back also to the reality and to keep going.
Okay. And because you mentioned, I would be curious, like, which are the most frequent difficulties that you have when you're working with volunteers now as a volunteer managers, and how do you respond to that? Because I mean, I have to say that you made me curious when you started.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably that many of my colleagues in the field can relate to, that each time the new group of volunteers, or I don't know, a couple of the volunteers leaving the project and the new volunteers coming, it totally changes the group dynamics. And that's what I'm curious about also in the moment, how to observe those changes. And whenever those changes happen, and some conflicts, they can arise also with time, because we're from very different cultures, not even cultures, we can be just very different people with just very different mindset and beliefs. And then those situations appear, you need to come up with a new solution, because you have a totally different group from, I don't know, one solution worked for one team of volunteers, but now this solution would not or might not work for another group of the volunteers. So as coordinator, I also need to be creative in the ways how to approach people, because this job is a lot about communication, and your social battery sometimes can go down, but we need to keep going, yeah? And probably this concept, that sometimes volunteers believe that this journey will be about them, and that this project is about them, and everything is centered around this volunteering experience. However, for me, even though I value all of the people who come to the project, for me the main concept is to give to the community. And sometimes I think this is also the part about the expectations, that the volunteers might think that it will be about them. However, from the point of NGO, it's about the community. So here we need to have this clear communication, who is standing where, and why are we here. And I think that also can, even though it again seems philosophical of me, however, this core concept changes a lot. As soon as we're clear about it, as soon as everyone agrees, we're moving forward. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, time moves fast. It's already 1 hour since we started the live. But I wouldn't want to finish before asking you this very important thing. And I would like to start again with Vlad, because he was, he was the last to speak, so to say. And I mean, if you'd have an advice for somebody who'd like to become a volunteer, what advice would you give? I mean, what do they have to do step by step? Deci ce sfat ai avea pentru un voluntar să facă pas cu pas, Vlad?
În primul rând, eu recomand această experiență, să fii voluntar, să te înscrii la un voluntariat, datorită faptului că e ceva ce îți construiește foarte mult skill-urile și ce te ajută foarte mult pentru viitor. Acestea fiind spuse, pașii pe care consider eu că trebuie făcuți sunt să te înscrii la voluntariat prima dată, să cauți pe internet o pagină legată de ESI Projects, de proiecte ESI și să te înscrii cum ar veni și după ce persoana respectivă, să zicem că s-a înscris, să apeleze după ce persoana respectivă a trimis e-mail, să semneze, următorul pas este să semneze contractul de începere al voluntariatului, iar după aceea ceea ce urmează este un on-arrival training care va instrui persoana respectivă ce să facă acolo. Și tot așa, după aceea urmează activități extracurriculare, urmează tot ceea ce se referă la proiectul respectiv. Activități foarte funny, din punctul meu de vedere, foarte ok, care să te poată construi. Deci pas cu pas.
Ok, că tu ai descris tehnice de făcut pentru a fi voluntar în Corpul European de Solidaritate.
Da.
Și dacă ai un mesaj de final pentru cei care se uită la noi, care ar fi acela? Nu știu, o încurajare, o descurajare.
Mesajul meu personal ar fi pentru cei care vor să se facă voluntari, care vor să fie voluntari în viitor, să aleagă această experiență, pentru că este ceva într-adevăr uplifting, cum se zice, este ceva o experiență foarte bună, unică, și să nu se lase demotivați în momentele grele și și să vadă binele și să vadă tot ceea ce este pozitiv în tot ceea ce se întâmplă acolo, pentru că foarte multe activități sunt foarte ajutătoare pentru skill-urile pe care le poate avea cineva pe viitor și de asemenea recomand această experiență din toată inima, datorită faptului că este o nouă șansă ca să socializezi și de asemenea să înțelegi ce înseamnă incluziunea, să înveți mai multe despre aceste lucruri.
Ok. Mulțumesc mult de tot, Vlad. Mi-a plăcut foarte mult asta cu binele, să vezi binele, că mi-am aminte de un jingle faimos din radio, binele învinge, da? Orice femeie, orice copil, orice voluntar de pe lumea asta știe că binele învinge, dar pentru asta trebuie să facem primul pas și să devenim voluntari. Ok, mulțumesc mult de tot, Vlad. Linda, from your perspective, what advice would you give to somebody who would like to start to become a volunteer, be it ESC or elsewhere, anything else? And if you have a final message for those people who are watching us.
Okay, I have two advices. One is
Please.
those who want to volunteer. If you find the project that you like, look how long it is. Maybe it's better to try first time something that is short term, just to experience how it is to be abroad. Maybe don't jump into like 6, 8, 10-month projects if you never lived abroad for a longer time. Maybe start a little bit slower. Don't do such high stake project. And the second one is research the organization. You like the project description, it seems so fun. Look at the webpage, look at the socials. What is this organization actually doing? How do they present themselves? To do a little bit more of a research before you apply. And then my final message, those who are watching us, the volunteers who are in European Solidarity Corp are courageous people. They chose to commit to a challenge and they also executed. So if you feel that you like traveling, you like meeting new people, volunteering is the thing that you should do, and you should apply, not sit behind the screen.
And we bow in front of you, volunteers of European Solidarity Corps, because indeed it is a brave step. However, it's a step that, well, it can lead you to places you never even imagined. Thank you very much, Linda. And last but not least, of course, Anastasia, again, also for you, a final message and an advice for somebody who'd like to become a volunteer.
I will again build up on Linda's speech and give another set of advice. Advice would be to find a project that actually suits your personal and professional interests and not choose it by the geography, because you never know, and staying in the project where you actually like the topic, and that would be much more meaningful. To keep this in mind. And just something that I would probably repeat, but don't be afraid to try. It's okay to maybe even fail, but it's nice to try how this project works for you, even though of course it is a commitment, and you also put a lot of effort by going abroad and by trying things, but that can be a very valuable lesson, because personally I felt when I finished my project that I grew a lot, and I would like more people to experience the same.
Great, thank you very much. And while you're speaking, I can see that you inspired people, because we have also one question, but it's more like a technical one. I'm gonna do it read in Romanian. Salut, de la Claudia. M-am înscris recent pe platformă și aș vrea să vă întreb cât de mult contează proiectele voluntariatului din profil. Trebuie unele anume, multe, cum ești mai ales exact pentru voluntariat. Do you have an advice for that, Anastasia? I mean, from your perspective as a volunteer manager as well. Do you understand what is written there?
Yeah, I got lost in the mult contează proiectele, that part.
How much does the project or the volunteering from the profile matters, and how are you basically selected for volunteering stage? I think that's the key issue.
Mm-hmm. I think for me what the most important is a personalized approach in a way. When I see that a person took an effort, read what is our project actually about, and that it's not, I don't know, I'm sorry, but copy-paste or AI created content, because I would like to see a person behind, thinking and writing about the real interest in the project. So usually, of course, it's nice when a person has some certain experience already because, for example, for us it might be important since we're working with people with disabilities, and that's also something that we discussed during the interviews. However, if you're super motivated, you do not have that much of experience, these projects are also for you, because this is the projects where you can have this experience for your future work development, and your future career. So my recommendation would be to put your own thoughts and yourself into the CV, to think what message you want actually people to read.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to switch to Romanian again for the final thoughts. Dar nu înainte de a răspunde și Claudia. Claudia, cred că aici important este să încerci. Uite-te la care sunt acele proiecte de voluntariat care, așa cum spunea Anastasia și Linda puțin mai devreme, corespund nevoii tale. Nu te uita neapărat la geografie, la țară, uite-te la ce se întâmplă acolo. Scrie. Poate nu o să iasă din prima, de cele mai multe, adică foarte de rare ori iese din prima, nu e nicio problemă. Scrie la cât mai multe organizații care au activități și proiecte care ți se potrivesc cu profilul tău și mai devreme sau mai târziu vei primi un răspuns, pentru că, așa cum spunea și Vlad, binele învinge. Sau, da, binele se va întâmpla, va ajunge și cu siguranță va fi și ce trebuie. Thank you, spune Claudia. Thank you too. Mulțumim, dragilor, mulțumim că v-ați petrecut această oră alături de noi. Mulțumim celor 3 curajoși voluntari, unii dintre ei și actual manageri de voluntari și de proiect de la Asociația Explorator. Sperăm că a fost util să vedeți un pic așa cam cum arată viața de voluntar și un pic pusă lentila aici. Multă baftă în continuare. Good luck, Linda, for the rest of your volunteering. Multă baftă și ție, Anastasia și Vlad, pentru a lucra împreună și a face lucruri simpatice și drăguțe acolo. Acesta a fost strategic cu numărul 6. Vă așteptăm și la numărul 7, când vom reveni cu noi teme, sperăm noi, de interes pentru viața voluntariatului în România și la nivel european. Și nu uitați, mâine începe Săptămâna Europeană a Tineretului. Intrați pe harta și pe calendarul Săptămânii Europene a Tineretului. România este pe primul loc din punct de vedere al numărului de proiecte înscrise acolo. Deci avem cu ce să ne mândrim. Uitați, intrați pe hartă și dacă nu organizați evenimente, uitați-vă ce se întâmplă pe hartă în jurul vostru și participați la ele. Mulțumim mult, seară bună și să facem bine. Asta este concluzia cu care eu plec din acest podcast. Seară bună și pe data viitoare.
Mulțumim!